You're very welcome. This is the presentation on taking charge of your career. So this workshop is going to be a little bit to do with mindset. We're going to speak about setting a goal maybe for yourself and reinforcing that and starting to feel better internally. But we'll also be talking about how to communicate well, like how to step into the room that you're in a different way that allows you to feel more strong in yourself. The thing that we forget is how much we have behind us. When we stand in a room on a particular day, we're not thinking about, well, I have a degree in psychology, a diploma in public relations, and, 20 odd, years working in a managerial capacity, dealing with people, training staff. We forget all of that. I had forgotten all of that. I recently did my resume and did my CV again. And I hadn't even thought about all of the experience I have. I was not leaning into that at all. So when we stand in a room and we feel like, oh my goodness, who am I to say this thing or who am I to ask for this? We have to bring some of those things with us. We have to remember who we are in a holistic way, who we are, the whole thing. Okay, because you are a package deal. you're not just a pretty face, you're not just your personality. You are a series of skills, you are a series of experience, and you have knowledge. You have tried and tested knowledge where your experiences have taught you something, but you also have whatever qualifications you may have, the study that you've done. And a lot of that sometimes gets pushed to the background and we don't talk about it. And in the workplace, or if you're presenting yourself in business, you're not really saying it very often. And people don't know unless we tell them. So this whole workshop will be about owning more of who you are, remembering who you are. So to begin with, we're going to make a wish. So I want you to imagine that you have made a change. You've stepped into your power a little more. And in 5 years' time, how do you want to, number one, feel? Okay. So write down on a piece of paper, I'm going to do this as well. How do you want to feel in 5 years' time? I'll just take a couple of minutes for this. Maybe you'll have more than one feeling. I have a few going through my head. And if you'd like to put your answers into the chat, I'd love to see them. Just how you want to feel. Now, now that we have something about how you want to feel, I want you to close your eyes and just imagine that you're stepping into a future moment. Okay. I want you to imagine that you're being in the body of you feeling this way. So you might have to use your imagination. You might have to use your memory. So say the first thing that I have here is the word satisfied. So I want to feel satisfied. So I'm thinking back maybe to a time when I felt very satisfied. Something's popping into my head. I'm imagining feeling that. Now, the other one I have is secure. So I need to maybe use my imagination for that one because this one for me means financial security, which I haven't had often, but I have had it. So I'm just going. Gosh, when I had it, how much money did I spend on the Marie Claire magazine? I used to buy Clarins hand lotion all the time. So I had a lovely lifestyle. And that was when I was working for Japan Airlines, which is one of the highest standard airline that you can work for. It taught me so much. So how to feel secure? How did I feel when I was buying all the magazines and the hand lotions, what going through the airport when I was working for the airline? So bringing that into your mind, whatever you can think. And my third one is enthusiastic. So enthusiasm for me is about feeling like I'm excited to learn something, usually. So bringing that into mind. So I'm going to just put a timer on for 2 minutes, okay? Because I'd love for each of us to spend 2 minutes leaning into feeling the feeling that we want to feel. We're imagining that we're ahead in time in that moment, feeling that feeling. Just breathe into it and bring yourself back into your body. You want to be there. So use your memories to help you find that feeling in a time before, and now bring it forward as if you're bringing that feeling into a moment of the future. Visualize the environment that you were in, like for me, being on a stage for Satisfied, and now imagining that I am 5 years ahead in time. And maybe I'm looking at my home or I'm looking at my clients, whatever it is that future me is being satisfied about, and allowing that feeling wash over you. And just keep breathing in case any emotions come up. Sometimes we're having difficulty with this, and it's okay if you are. It's okay. Just think about those good feelings. You mightn't be able to bring it into the future at this exact moment. So just use the memory. Use the memory. Go back to a memory of when you felt that feeling you want to feel again. Imagine being there. Maybe it's on a vacation, on holidays. Maybe you're with your family. Maybe you're paying for dinner for a group of friends. I'll just give it another second or two. Yes, there we go. Just imagine feeling that feeling. This is what we want to do. We want to step into feeling a certain way. Everything that we do is motivated by wanting to feel a certain way. When we remember how that feels, that has power, a lot of power. Okay, good. Ooh, very nice. Thank you for putting it in the chat. Peaceful, joyful, satisfied, fulfilled. Satisfied twice, Amy. That's so funny. Mine was satisfied as well. Beautiful. You're satisfied. It's such a great idea, isn't it? It's almost like a job well done feeling, for me. That it's complete, that there's a moment of all has come into this moment and become this perfect thing. Um, at ease, confident in my skills, joyful, connected to myself, good friends in the world, happier, energy, energy, tap into your creative self. Yes. And we need to be following what we're curious about, following what lights us up, whilst also maybe taking care of business in certain ways. But I love that. I want you to hold on to those feelings. We're coming back to that later. Okay. We're definitely coming back to it. Okay. To do. So your voice can reflect your self-worth. So when we speak, our voices are one of the most revealing parts of us, right? Because if you feel tired, you'll often be able to hear that in your voice. If you're upset, if you're nervous, if you don't believe in yourself, your voice will reflect that. So I'm going to speak today a bit about how our voices can be reinforced. Like, let's strengthen the voice. Let's nourish the voice. Let's understand the voice so that then you can speak up for your needs, express yourself without fear, and communicate with clarity and confidence. So that's the goal here, is to kind of come into a more powerful version of yourself. And we're starting with your voice. So let's just look at, say, speaking up for your needs. If you are in an environment at work where everything is very loud and you find up that you can't do what you need to do, it's very, very nerve stimulating, is what I'm thinking. And you have to speak up and say something. You won't want to say something, probably, right? You'll probably do what most women do, which is put up with it. And in that way, we're minimizing our own needs. We're pretending that we're okay. And we will get to a limit of how much we can do about that. You know, we will put up with certain things until we get to another breaking point. And I do not want to reach a breaking point again myself. And I don't want you guys to reach breaking point. So I want you to imagine that it's okay to speak up for your needs. It's actually better for everyone. Brené Brown has a phrase which is clear is kind, unclear is unkind, because it's not truthful, right? It's not truthful. Yes, you're coping, but you're not really you're not thriving, you're surviving. So this thing of expressing yourself without fear does mean that you need to imagine that the other person or the situation can respond to you in a positive way. That it's not going to be you saying something and them going, don't be stupid, you can't have that. Or, don't, why are you asking for this? You were always fine before. So we need to imagine that we can get somewhere with what we say. We need to imagine that it's possible to have change happen. Okay. We need to find those ways to be clear. Clear is kind, unclear is unkind. How to be clear with our voice, how to speak up for ourselves. And that's something I'd love to, we'll talk about a little more as well in a sec. So here's one really nice tip, how to speak with authority and warmth. Avoid ending statements with a question tone unless you're actually asking a question. Okay. Now I'm going to give you an example of this. Okay, I now have to think of an example. Why didn't I prepare one earlier? Oops. Okay. It's Aideen here. I'm a voice coach. I love helping people. I would love if you would just write me testimonial. Right, you feel the up inflection. It's sometimes called upspeak. Keep going. So it's good to speak with authority and warmth. It's like a question. It's like, instead of saying it's good to speak with authority and warmth, full stop, right? It's good to speak with authority and warmth. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Question mark. I'm Aideen. More like a full stop. I'm Aideen. Hi. Question mark, question mark. So write this one down. This is very important. Sometimes we do this, we don't realize we're doing it. Is it okay if I ask you a question? That's definitely still a question. So you can definitely do that one. But you could say, is it okay if I ask you a question? And it just sounds a little more confident. Like you're not really asking the question. You're just saying, I'm about to ask you a question. Okay. Can you think of any ways that you use an upspeak when you shouldn't? If there's anything that you say sometimes, definitely be careful of using upspeak when you're introducing yourself. I'm a brand story consultant. I love helping people. All of that will undermine, I should say, your authority, undermine your credibility. So I want you to keep an eye out or an ear out for this. So the next one is practice pausing to show presence in leadership. So let's say we're saying, or maybe introducing ourselves. Hi, I'm Aideen. I'm a voice coach. I have done loads of work I've worked in PR. I studied psychology. I really am happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Okay, sounds fine, right? But if I speak with pauses, hi, I'm Aideen. I'm a voice coach. Yeah, I studied PR and psychology, and I'm using AMS, which I shouldn't, but not nobody's perfect. But you can tell that when we use the pause, it adds a moment of silence that it takes some confidence to hold. And you want to keep your posture forward. You want to keep that look on your face that I'm about to speak more. Like, don't go, hi, I'm Aideen, and then like kind of look down and your posture changes. You want to go, hi, I'm Aideen. And you even open your mouth a little because if you open your mouth, people will know you're going to speak more. Okay. I'm a voice coach. I love psychology and public relations. I love teaching people about communicating. So you find that you can kind of learn and teach yourself to leave the pause without worrying that someone's going to interrupt you. Now, what if someone does interrupt you? I would suggest you keep talking. I know that might feel weird, right? My husband did it to me the other day because I have an interruption habit, especially with people close to me. And if I'm excited about things, so I have to learn to not interrupt. So if you are around someone who interrupts, just keep talking and maybe say, "Oh, I'll answer your question in a second," or if you don't mind, I'll finish what I was about to say. And that's if you don't mind, I'll finish what I'm about to say. That really means I don't care if you mind or not. I'm going to finish what I'm about to say. So if anybody's had any experience with anything of this nature, please just drop it in the chat. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. How you say it. Here's a nice one that's more to do with maybe a boundary. My friend Caroline and I lived together in Dublin when I was working for Perricone MD, which is a skincare company. It was a retail sales job. I really enjoyed it because I love health and well-being and beauty stuff, really big into it. So Caroline and I lived together, and it was my turn to clean the bathroom. And she comes up to me, she says, Aideen, I have to tell you, he didn't clean the toilet really that well. Now, just notice the kind of the way that she said it, Aideen. It's like she was asking me permission to speak, but it was so gentle, so kind. I was like, okay, I can't, like, she's not going, Aideen, you did a terrible job on the bathroom. Like, oh, and she didn't make me feel bad in a way. I just felt like, oh, I better improve it. She did this to me another time. I said something to her and she went, Aideen, that hurt my feelings. Hurt my feelings. I've never heard someone before that. And probably haven't heard it very often since then either. But I'd never heard someone say that out loud to anyone. That hurt my feelings. Can you imagine saying that? It's such a vulnerable thing to say. It hurts my feelings. I'm not able to hear that right now. It feels a little harsh you saying that right now. I feel like it's too much. Just ask yourself how you might say something to give a boundary and how you might say it. Because sometimes we need more kindness in our voice. I'm like a enthusiastic puppy sometimes, so I need to step back. But you might be the type of person who needs to step forward, add more enthusiasm to your voice. Maybe it's in a conversation about what you do. Instead of saying, I'm very good at working with people with their, marketing and enjoy social media strategy. So here's how you might say differently. I'm so interested in marketing. It just lights me up. When I look at people's social media strategy, I can transform it and I really enjoy working with people. So there's a bit of inflection in the voice. Try not to stay too monotone. Beautiful. Now we're moving into your physical communication. So we are using visual cues all the time. Our presentation, what I decided to wear my jacket today, right? Okay, because I'm in a career workshop. I could have worn my Sweater. I have my nice cozy sweater here. If anyone can see me, it's gorgeous. I love it. Feel very cozy in it. But for the visual cue of Aideen knows something about this, she has something like to offer, which I do. I want to visually show that. So instead of dressing in something that looks more casual, I've chosen to put on my one and only jacket. I probably should have a few more, but I love the color. It brightens my day. Do you have stuff in your wardrobe that helps you come across as more credible, that you're taking charge of things, that you're actually, the expert in a situation? And if you don't, or if you don't wear those things often enough, I would challenge you to start. You're far better to be a little overdressed than to be underdressed in a business situation, in my opinion. Now, it can depend a little on the dynamics, but nobody is going to fault you for looking well. Okay. If you need to show up visually with what you're wearing as well. Put the lip gloss on, right? And then we move into not just kind of the glance. When someone glances at you, they are perceiving you. A lot of our communication is non-verbal. It's not what we say. It's how we look and how we express ourselves. So your posture is going to be important too. If you're too slouched, just imagine lifting up from the hips. So it's like a string from the top of your head lifting you up. Try it. Take a breath here and release the breath. Take up space. Like imagine you've got like an energy field around you, an aura maybe, and that you're filling this room that you're in with the aura, and you're letting your aura reach the people that you're speaking to, whether that's through Zoom or whether that's in a room with people. Eye contact is a good one, right? The main times to make eye contact are at the beginning and the end of your sentence. It's actually good to look away, right? You don't want to be just looking at the camera and only looking at the camera and speaking to people very intently, because that can make them a little uncomfortable after a little bit. So definitely look away when you're thinking about something. And then that's what I said. When you come back to the end of the sentence, eye contact again. And then open gestures. So a lot of our communication is actually through our gestures, because gestures don't lie. We can try to, pretend, right, that we're, or we can say something and use a gesture like, say, a number. And if I asked you to say the number 2 while putting up the number 3, it would be difficult, right? Because our brains do the gesturing so fast that it tends to be very, it's truthful. It tells something. So people who lie, for instance, tend to use fewer gestures because they're controlling themselves. They're controlling their gestures. So people who are open, who are trustworthy, usually will use more gestures. And I would like to encourage you to use gestures a lot. So you can see, if you're watching me, let's come off the presentation for a second. Okay. So if I have a point to make and I say with my hands, here is what I want to say, then you're going to also have the communication of my gesture with my words. If there are 3 points that I want to speak about, number 1, voice. Number 2, language. Number 3, gestures. When I use my fingers to say those 3 things, that communicates to you more deeply than just if I said I have 3 points. Number 1, voice. Number 2, language. Number 3, gestures. Do you see the difference? So even on Zoom, it's really important to keep your hands up, right? Don't sit too close to the camera, even if you can come back a little bit. And I would use my hands like this, but certainly for any point you want to make. I'm making a small point here, right? Oh, I'm so happy. Or, I even like with my hand on my face, like I might go like that. I might lean in like this. Just any way that you have your hands visible It's another way of engaging people and keeping them paying attention to you. Um, Also, if you is Zoom that you do a lot of your communication with, try to look into the camera. So let's see if you can see the difference. Right now, I'm looking at my little video because I'm the one making the most making the most shapes here. And now, if I look up into the camera, and if I do that regularly, you'll feel slightly more connected to me because my eye contact is coming more to you through the camera. I learned this from a fantastic speaking coach, a presentation coach called Erin Duffy. And she is very good at the eye contact thing. And I will look down at someone else's video. But let's say if I'm doing a group workshop and there's few people, I will move the person I'm speaking to the top, right? So let's say if Amy was talking to me, I would move her square under the camera so that I'm less likely to look down to her in the corner of the screen and move my eye contact too far away. And we do sometimes look at ourselves, obviously, when we're on Zoom. I mean, I do, like you're kind of going, is my hair okay? And all that kind of thing. But try to make eye contact through the camera if you're using Zoom. Any questions? All good? All good? See, I remember to do the gesture. That makes it is helpful, right? Yay, thanks, Marie. Really good. That's really helpful. That'll keep me going. The rest of the presentation's on its way. Okay, so just three more slides here. So here's what happens when we're in a career situation, in an interview, making any kind of presentation, we feel nervous, right? Amy said earlier, I want to hide. Now, analyze the feeling behind that. I want to hide. I feel unsafe, right? I feel criticized. I feel vulnerable. So notice the thoughts, right? And we might need to mitigate those thoughts by kind of going, no, I'm okay. But here's what I love is using your breath. My favorite quick one is to use a sigh. So if you take a breath in, really big breath in, and just let it out, that can make a huge difference. Do it more than once if you need to. So another easy breath in is a big breath and release gently. Very good. Now your breath will bring you back to, even for my voice, I'm at a better level, not as overexcited. My pace has changed a little. And those things, for you, it might be the opposite. You might be shrinking, but it will, having regulated your nervous system a little through the breath, you'll be able to speak. So I would say start. I learned something recently about, even start with your face. Try to relax your face muscles. If you have to deal with someone who's very difficult, it'll usually show on your face. You'll be like, oh, you could be eye rolling. You could be like, don't want to deal with this person. So try to maybe minimize any tension on your face. So comes back to using that kind tone, like my friend Caroline. Oh, Aideen, that hurt my feelings. So just try and regulate your face. Try to let your face relax. Use your breath. And remember that even though it feels very scary to advocate for ourselves. It feels scary to call the HR department and ask for the career break. It is okay to ask the question. It's not the end of the world if you get a no, okay? But the downside if you don't ask the question is that you are actually you're not being honest. And you're not being kind to yourself or to others because most people don't want us to be unhappy. Don't want to be taking advantage of us. They want us to be happy in our jobs. They want us to be productive, right? Of course. And so if we're lying about how we feel and then we have to sometimes say how we truly feel, it feels so scary because we've been holding it in. So let's try to be more honest. Try to deal with things at the time if you can, or later if you need to later. So someone upsets you in a conversation, you felt upset, but you couldn't say anything. you can always say it later. You can say, hey, I just wanted to explain how I felt last time we spoke because I don't think I was completely honest with you. And I feel like you would want me to be honest with you. You can even say, are you okay with me being honest with you? Ask a question. Is it okay if I tell you how I really feel? Because I'm just worried that it will affect our friendship, perhaps. It'll affect our working relationship. It might affect the dynamics in the office if I'm not honest with you. I want the business to do well. Think about the whole group that you work with or the group of clients you work with. It's better for everyone if you can address the things that need to be addressed, being honest, being calm, and then you can deal with an awful lot. Magic can happen. Okay. Yes, I'm going to explain this and I'm going to come off this screen because this is a really nice exercise. We're coming close to the end, actually. We're going to go into chatting and we're going to come back to what we did at the beginning. So at the very beginning, we did an exercise. How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? And we're bringing ourselves into 5 years' time. And mine were, I want to feel satisfied, secure, and enthusiastic. So we're going to use affirmations, which, if you don't know about these, you're going to be so glad that I mentioned it to you. Let me explain it a little first. Your brain loves solving questions, so give it the right ones to answer. I'm going to explain this. Coming off camera, or on camera, I should say. Okay. Ask yourself, what questions do you ask yourself repeatedly about your situation? What, in particular, ask yourself, what are the frustrations you have? And what are the questions you ask yourself about your frustrations or your challenges? Okay. So let's take an example. You're in a working environment where you feel nobody listens to you. You might ask yourself the question in your own mind, why does no one listen to me? Why, for example, if you're working for yourself, why is it so difficult to get new clients? Why am I so stuck? Why is my career going downhill? Why can't I get a promotion? When we ask negative questions like that, I would say maybe disempowering questions, right? Let's say, why am I not getting a promotion? When you ask that question, your brain is designed to answer it. And it will answer it by reinforcing the disempowering question. So if you're asking yourself, why am I not getting a promotion? Your brain will often go to the negatives, like, I don't have as much qualifications as the next person. I haven't been working here as long as someone else. I don't have the confidence to ask. Um, they don't have the money to pay me more. And you could have lists of questions of answers, right? Why am I not getting a promotion? Because I'm not good enough, because other people are better than me. Why can't I change my job? Well, because I'm afraid, right? I might not earn money in something else. So we end up having this negative thought process because of the question we asked. Consider this. Ask yourself the question, why would I be perfect for a promotion? Why would my boss notice that I am ready for a promotion? So let's say, why would my boss notice that I'm ready for promotion? Question mark. You will say in your head, I know that they recognize my abilities. Every time I get a review, I'm recognized. I have been doing some, professional development, all of those things. And here's the thing, because I let my boss know how good I am at my job. Here's the thing. You have to remind people who you are, what you have to offer, and then it reinforces it. So, we forget. We don't tell people, God, I really enjoy psychology. I'm so, curious about body language right now. I'm reading a woman called Vanessa Van Edwards. We don't go on about ourselves, but we have to drop some of these things into conversations. Men do it, but we don't. So just imagine that the next time you're in a conversation with an authority or with a boss, that you mention something, that you say, I've been here for 30 years now and I've had, positive reviews, da, 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 da. Or I'm studying an extra qualification in management. No, I'm enjoying studying it. If they kind of know, you can just remind them, oh, I've really enjoyed this one section of the management course that I'm doing. And it just reminds them that you're doing it, right? So let's say you're working for yourself. Remind people what you're doing. Let's say I'm really interested in women's empowerment right now. So I watched a YouTube video, TED Talk yesterday, and sometimes I don't do this and I have to remind myself, I posted the talk and said something about women's empowerment. So that's my way of saying I'm into women's empowerment. I'm just sharing what I'm interested in, right? I'm reminding people what I'm about. And you can remind people what you're about just by doing what you normally do on a daily basis. Just by saying, oh, I saw this and this is really interesting because dot, dot, dot. I studied psychology and my interest in it has been lifelong. And there I have it. I've just thrown in I have a qualification in this, right? Maybe it's an experience, or maybe it's, maybe you worked in a different career, but it taught you something. So you can say that. You can say, when I worked in science, I learned da 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 da, and now I'm using it here. So why would you start to feel confident enough to do that? What would it take for you to imagine yourself doing it? And I'm wondering what kind of effect it might have on your life, what kind of effect it would have on how you are perceived by others. Why is it important for us to show our true selves? Not just the basic surface, not just Aideen has a nice smile and she's a great singer. Now I'm telling people about my degree. Now I'm telling people about all the other things I did. I threw a few of them in to this presentation. It doesn't have to sound like you're tooting your horn. It's just your background. It's just normal. It's just you. Okay, here's the end of our program now. I just wanted to, let me just go back to I don't won't go back to the presentation just yet. I do have something I'd like to ask. I have something I want to ask you at the very end. So, what is your biggest frustration? Please pop it in the chat. What's your biggest frustration? I'll write one down. So I'm saying feeling held back and stuck. Okay. So the way to make this into an affirmation would be why. So we ask the why question. So, why am I so stuck? Is my first kind of the one that goes through my head. And then why? Oh, this is the thing. You have to make it into a positive one. How can I do that? Why am I so stuck? Why am I starting to feel free or expansive? I like the word expansive. Why am I starting to feel expansive? We could use the stuck word. We could say, why am I wriggling out of my stuckness easily, more easily? You have to make it slightly believable, more easily every day. Right. So if anyone would like to share, I will stop the recording in a few minutes. Definitely pop it in the chat if you can. The last slide I have here is just my little request for you guys, which is to give some feedback for me. So if you scan this QR code using your phone, and I have to type it out as well into the thing. This is a very useful little tool for getting feedback if you do speaking as well. And you need to put in the word confidence into it if I put it into the chat. Let me put it into the chat as well. So AC/my name. I know my name is a bit weird. You've got 2 N's in a row. That's correct. HTTPS. Da, da, da. And the code is confidence. Okay. So that's my little ask. I'd love if you could do that for me. And I'd like to open up the floor for questions or comments. And if you prefer, I actually can come off the recording. So thank you so much. If you're watching this later, thank you very much for watching. Please do rate the talk as well. I would love to hear it. And if you've got a new affirmation for yourself, I would love to hear what that is too. Thanks a million.